Okay, abusia for enchia kese ma obi biara ejidi so bia ho ye good day. Good evening. We a Fort Worth solicitors dwumadie na waso guso a wutie. Ai said da ye no ene ye no baba betwetwe enkomo na ye topic na ye baba ye ho discussion no essay exploring the intersection of surrogacy, adoption and children's immigration status. Eno ho enkomo na ye baba bebo na ya kyerɛkyerɛ nneɛma mu de akyerɛ wo sɛ bia wopɛ sɛ ɛba awoɔ fa mu a sɛ bia wopɛ sɛ obi nyinsɛn ma wo anaasɛ wopɛ sɛ wo adopte anaasɛ ɛyɛ nkwalaa soso immigration sɛ nsɛm no nyinaa ho no ɛnɛ ɛno ho nkɔmmɔ na yɛbɛbɔ wɔ afidie yi so. Okay, so today our topic is exploring the intersection of surrogacy, adoption, and children's immigration status. You are welcome to the program. Hello, lawyer. I sorry, I can't hear you. Hi, lawyer.
Yeah, hello, Mama Len. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So it's good to see you once again.
Good to see you. How are you doing today?
Yeah, very good. So
Okay.
thank you very much for uh, giving us the opportunity or hosting us in today's show. And for our listeners who have joined us, we would like to apologize for the late start. Of course, there was a bit of technical issues here and there. Those of you who have been joining us, you'll be seeing Mama Len for the very first time, who will be managing affairs from now onwards. So forgive us for the technical difficulties that we are experiencing. And as Mama Len rightly said, today's topic, we are exploring the intersection of surrogacy, adoption, and children's immigration status. It's a very interesting topic
Yeah.
because there are a number of people who may want to take advantage or who would like to be able to adopt or they might have maybe challenge of having their own children or child and they might want to adopt. They might have their own child, but for one reason or the other may want to adopt somebody else from either abroad or somewhere. And sometimes the biggest question that people have is whether indeed what is the immigration status of that child? How do they get it rectified? And all the
Yeah.
issues that come with it. So, Mama Len, this is the topic for discussion. So, I don't know whether you will want to introduce me to, or I can start, or you have any questions about it before I get the ball rolling. But the key things we are discussing today is surrogacy and adoption. These are the two main areas that we are discussing today. So, surrogacy, what it means, once you do it, what are the legal implications in terms of rectifying the immigration status of that child? And most of the time, these things may happen, or people may go to, abroad to get it done for maybe because of costs involved or because of cultural and economic ties to that country of origin. So people may go abroad. So, Mama Len, this is what we are talking about today.
Okay. Thank you, lawyer. I think you've already introduced this the subject. So I think let's set the ball rolling and then get straight to
Mhm.
it.
Okay, the key question that people may want to find out, or if somebody has joined us for the very first time, they would like to know is what is surrogacy. Surrogacy is a term which we use to describe a circumstance or situation where somebody carries a child for somebody else. So that's a
Mhm.
loose term description of it, and there may be a number of reasons why people may want to do that. Uh, but when it comes to surrogate children, the key question is who are the legal parents of that child?
Okay.
And for us to describe the legal definition, we will go to the law. So when we look at Section 15, subsection 9 of the British Nationality Act 1981, the legal mother of a child is the person who gives birth to the child in a surrogacy arrangement. So the surrogate mother will therefore be the legal mother of the child. There is no provision for anyone else to be considered the legal mother of the child. This is very, very important. So when there is a surrogacy arrangement, the person who physically carry the child is legally considered as the child of that or the mother of that child. And then we come to the who the father may be. Okay, and for a child born through surrogacy on or after 1st of July 2006, the legal father will either be the man to whom the surrogate mother is married to at the time of the child's birth. So when there's a surrogacy, you've gone out there, you've made somebody to have a child on your behalf, and you think you may be the father by definition. Anytime from 1st of July 2006 onwards, the person who may be the married to that surrogacy mother may be considered the father. The man with whom the surrogate mother has received treatment services from a licensed person may also be considered as the father. So when you have surrogacy, somebody might donate sperm
Egg,
to
sperm and all that.
the
Mm.
yes to the mother. So in such situation, if the person that did it through a license as arrangement, that person may also be considered as or might be identified as the father. For people who were done or people who go through surrogacy on or after 10th of September 2005, we have section 42 and 43 of the Human Fertilization and Embryology Act 2008 that may consider that person as a second female parent, or anybody who's
Wow.
got DNA link association with that person may also be considered as a father. So that law then recognizes these issues. And why is this very important? This is very important because when a child is born, the definition or the description as to whether that child is automatically British or not may be determined from who the legal parent is. So, being able to identify who the father is in the whole arrangement is very crucial. That is the reason why I had to start by identify who the legal parent may be based on the definition of the law. So, when a child is born through surrogacy, okay, the child can automatically obtain British citizenship at birth if they are born in the UK and either of their legal parents are British citizens, or even if they are born outside the UK and any of their legal parents is a British citizen. So that is also a possibility. So it is important for us to understand that if the person is being born abroad and one of the people who donated their embryo or their sperm to the person to have a child is a British national by birth or has got British citizenship already, if you are able to prove it, then you will be able to obtain automatic British citizenship for that person. There may be situations where, for one reason or the other, you may not be able to obtain that simply because of the nature of the surrogacy arrangement that was done. Okay, and for that reason, all the definitions that we've given may not be there because maybe it is not the father who donated anything, or it's not the mother who donated the embryo for that child. So there's no DNA connection or whatsoever. But there was some sort of licensed arrangement for that surrogacy to take place. If that is the case, we can register that child to become a British citizen under the British Nationality Act, Section 3, Subsection 1. This gives the Home Office or the Secretary of State the discretion to register any child as a British citizen while they are minor, no matter where and when or they were born. So this is very, very important. But you will need to establish that they've got close connection with the UK. And of course, if the child is not done before the age of 10, the person will also need to meet the good character requirements. So, believe it or not, the good character requirement becomes very important as soon as the child turn more than 10 years. And if you do it earlier, then we are good to go. You wouldn't have problems with that. It is also important to state that the commissioning couple in surrogacy arrangement will have no legal relationship to the child and will therefore may not therefore not have be unable to pass the benefit of British citizenship to that child automatically, as we said. But based on the legal documents that they have done prior to the surrogacy taking place, they may then be able to make an application to register that child. It's important we do this at an early stage for it to be able to work. You have to do it as soon as the child is born. Ideally, you are looking to get this thing done within the first 12 months of the child's life. Uh, what happens if a child is not British and you are not able to get the registration done for that child? That is very, very important for us to also know that, because there may be situations where maybe you have done it, you've done the surrogacy, you haven't brought the documents, you've not got the documentation to get the discretion done, or the Home Office, the Secretary of State decides to exercise his discretion or her discretion differently by not granting the registration for that child. Then it may be important for you to make an application for entry clearance for that child. So you will have to make an application for leave to enter, or what we call visa for that child to come into the country as a child of a British national or somebody who is dependent on a British national. Once this application is done, you may then make an application. Once you the child arrives in the UK, you can go through the family courts and make an application for what we call a parental order. A parental order can be made in favor of the commissioning couple, the intended parents in the surrogacy under Section 54 of the Human Fertilization and Embryology Act 2008. So this act allows parents to be able to go to the family court and to ask for a parental order. What this parental order gives or does to the commissioning parent is it then gives them the legal right to then make an application to register the child to become a British national. So this is something that some people may have to consider, or if you have gone through the process of trying to obtain a registration for your child without a parental order and it's not been granted, you will have to consider this procedure to be able to be successful in such an application. Now, we there are a number of people who may not go for the option of surrogacy and may be thinking of adopted children. So adoption, we use it loosely. Sometimes we may be thinking of guardianship, but we will be referring to adoption. But in this state or in this country, what do we really mean by adoption? Adoption is when you have taken full custody of a child and without any other parent having right over that child. So that child can be treated legally as your own child. It must be noted that under the Hague Convention, there are two types of adoption. We have what we call the simple adoption, and then we have what we call the full adoption. But the UK courts only will normally grant full adoption without a simple adoption taking place. But some countries will may do with a simple adoption, which means that that child may have some sort of connection with the birthing parent or the parent who is the biological parent of that child. But for the UK purposes, we are looking at full adoption. Normally, when a child has been adopted in pursuant of Section 1, subsection 5 of the British Nationality Act 1981, when a court in the UK or in a qualifying territory makes an order authorizing adoption of a minor who is not a British citizen, the minor will be a British citizen from the date of the order of that adopter. So, if you manage to go through the courts, the family courts process, and you get your order for an adoption to be done for you, and that child is not British citizen, once the court was a UK court, from the day the order is given, that child becomes automatic British, so you can go and apply for a British passport for that child. However, we all know that the main concern for a lot of our viewers in today's show might be people who are considering adopting from overseas. Mama Len, when you decide to adopt from overseas, there may be
Yeah.
so many reasons why you want to do that. People may want to adopt from overseas simply because maybe the parent of that child has passed away, or maybe because of the living condition of that child, things are very difficult. There's so many reasons, or you simply want to the ability to be able to have a child because you are struggling in the UK, and you are thinking that because of your cultural ties to your home country or a country that you have previously visited, you want to adopt from that country. Basically, there are two types of adoption that we need to be aware of. There are adoption that may be effected under the law of a country or territory in which the Hague Convention on Protection of Children and Cooperation in Respect of Intercountry Adoption 1993 is in force at the time of the adoption and certified under the convention. So we have convention adoption and non-convention adoption. Normally, when an overseas adoption complies with the convention, okay, or the country adopting from are signatories to the Hague Convention, then the UK courts will recognize the adoption, and based on that, you will be able to register a child that you have gone through the Hague Convention process straight away to become a British citizen. So the key question is, since we are Ghanaians, I know you'll be wanting to ask whether Ghana is has
Yeah.
rectified the convention.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, and the answer is yes, they have. However, the problem that we normally experience with going through adoption that prevents a lot of people from following that process is the issue of cost. Okay.
Okay.
When you are looking to adopt from abroad, there is a situation where the first point of call is for you to contact your local authority. So, wherever you live in the UK, you will have to contact your local authority. Your local authority may work with a particular adoption agency, overseas agency that
Okay.
they may refer you to. The reason why they do this is they want to ensure that whoever is adopting in the UK has gone through the stringent checks that those who within UK wants to adopt will normally go through. So they want to verify, ensure that you've got accommodation for the child who is coming. It's not like you go and bring the child and there's nowhere for the child to live. They want to make sure that you haven't committed some, you don't have criminal background, you haven't abused a child before, you don't have difficulties in your own relationship and things like that. So this is the normal procedure that people who want to adopt in the UK will have to go through. So when you decide to adopt from abroad, we don't want a situation where people might not want to be scrutinized within the UK jurisdiction. So they just go abroad and, and adopt without, and then the child may come and the child may end up being abused and all that. So for any adoption to take place, it is important for you to be able to go through the process and contact your local authority, who then refer you to the agency, and the agency will then conduct the assessment. Unfortunately, because you are adopting from abroad, the UK taxpayer will not take or pick up the bill for you to go through the assessment process. So it is that assessment process that tend to be very prohibitive for a lot of people who are thinking of overseas adoption. So I remember the last time we obtained a quote from an adoption agency, they were quoting a figure in the region of over 20K, 20,000 for that person. So this may vary from time to time depending on a number of factors, depending on your income and other things. I don't know how they derive those figures, but of course, once you reach out to them, they will uh, be able to tell you what it is. But if you don't do that, if you don't inform them and get the assessment done, you could be found to have committed a criminal act, and you might be you might get a criminal conviction. So it is very very important that you don't just go and adopt people from abroad without going through the process. However, in stating that it's also possible that you may be able to adopt without going through that process if 12 months preceding the date of your adoption you were not resident in the UK. So if you are living in that country for 12 months preceding the date of your adoption, then they may consider you for that you lived abroad. So the country of your habitual residence will be expected that they will be able to go through the assessment without any issue. So that is one way or the other that maybe you might be able to escape having to pay that hefty bill that you may be given. It is also very important to understand that whether you will be able to register your child as a British citizen or not will also depend on the type of adoption that you've done. So if you've gone to a country and you've done what we call an informal arrangement or a temporary adoption process, where we will call it guardianship order, parental or custody order. So it is between you having full custody of the child and the child may having linked to the parents. When that happens, then you may not be able to go through the process of registering the child. But as I said, it is always boils down to the discretion of the Secretary of State. And if that is not possible, there's always a possibility that you can do an entry clearance application. There is no reason, or the caseworker might also consider other factors such as compassionate grounds and other things. So when making such applications, it bestows on that individual to make sure that the person have given as much information as possible. If not, then we are going to have problems being able to succeed with such an application. And as I said, there is always the possibility that an application for British nationality may fail, and there's always that other section where the person can make an application under the immigration rules part 8 to based on the factors involved to be able to put an application in. I must also add that such applications can be very difficult, Mama Len. Sometimes you will put this application in. If you don't do a comprehensive application, the chances that your application will be refused is very, 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 very high. So you need to put in the effort. You need to put in all the factors because why do you want to bring that child? They don't want a situation where people will be involved in they say child trafficking and things like that. So they want to make sure they are scrutinizing the application properly. So before you step out to submit your application, make sure you have done your homework well. You've put as much information as possible before you can proceed with that. At this stage, I believe I have managed to put a lot of information there. I don't know whether you will be able to. You've got some questions for me because we are not taking callers,
Any
even
pause?
though
Yeah.
people, yeah, people who are giving us answering questions or asking questions on the Facebook stream will be answered. So if you've joined us live and you want to ask any question, please feel free and post your question on the platform. We'll pick it up and then we will answer the question for you. So, Mama Len, I don't know if you've got any
Yeah,
clarification or issues
I
that you want
think
me to talk
I
about
don't
this
know
evening.
whether I heard you about the surrogacy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
Lawyer, can you hear me?
Yes, I can
Okay,
hear
yeah.
you. I can hear you.
Surrogacy, I don't know whether I heard you properly because the arrangement, you said something about, okay, me being using my ex will not be the mother of the child. That bit, can you explain it further for me, please, or for us?
Yeah, yeah. What it's saying, okay, depending on
Yeah.
the year that the process or the arrangement that went on will determine what
Okay.
happens. So, for let's use for the purpose of argument, anybody
Hmm.
who gets surrogacy done currently will
Hmm.
be able to we can identify the mother of that child, or we whatever the mother of the child to be the one who is the biological mother of that child. Okay, that is the starting
Okay.
point. Then
Right.
we then move on to see was the how was the embryo brought about. So what was the licensing procedure that went on?
Hmm.
If the licensing procedure we have a clear evidence that it is you who donated the embryo or the eggs for the
Yeah.
surrogacy to take place, then based on the
Hmm.
section 42 and 43 of the Human Fertilization and Embryology Act 2008, a second female parent may be referred as the parent of that child. You understand? So this only came into effect after 6th of April 2009. Okay, so
Okay.
we started from people who would have done the surrogacy prior to that, but for the purposes of this program, if you are listening to
Mm.
us and you are thinking of doing it, then obviously that would have taken place after 2009. So anything after 2009,
Mm.
the law recognizes it. And if you're able to show it, you can do that. And of course, under the nationality law, even though it may not recognize
Your
who
line
the
is,
other parent is,
yeah,
is it cracked? Are we having challenges? Can you hear me?
it's back on now. Yeah, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, I
thank
can
you.
hear you now.
So
Thank you.
yeah, so that is where we come in. That based on the 2009 children born from 2009, 6th of April 2009, the law recognizes that if the egg was donated by somebody else, then of course we can go ahead and apply for the British citizenship for that child, especially if the one who donated the egg is a British national at the time
Okay.
the arrangement took place. Yeah.
All right. And do I need a license to become a surrogate or it doesn't?
It doesn't you have to go through a designated or licensed organization to get it done. You cannot
Oh,
simply
okay.
go anywhere to get it. So for instance, if somebody is listening to us and the person decides to travel to their home country in Nigeria, or the person decides to travel to their home country in Ghana or any other country for that matter, and the person went, the organization that undertook the procedure must be registered and recognized in that country for it to take place, because once
Oh,
you are done with it and you are coming to get your documentation in place, you have to put all these things together to be successful with it.
okay. Let's say we are family. We live in UK, and then maybe my
Mhm,
sister wants to carry my baby for me. Do I still need a
mhm.
license, or I can just come and see you? You being a lawyer, I can come and see you, and then you can just do the paperwork and everything. Does it work that way, or it doesn't?
Yeah, it works that way in a sense that if you live in the UK and your sister is also in the UK, and
Mm.
you want to go through this procedure, you may have to go to a licensed clinic okay, or
Okay.
hospital to get the procedure done. So the procedure of getting the surrogacy done is different from the procedure of obtaining British nationality for that person. So let's assume that
Mm.
you have a sister that you want to who wants to carry your egg and get it done, or you've
Yeah.
gone to Ghana and then you've done the
Mm-hmm.
procedure and you managed to get a visa for your sister to
Your
arrive in
sister
the
to come here.
UK. Okay,
Mm.
yeah, to come to the UK to have a child in the UK. The question is, you need to understand that based on these arrangements, after the child is born, the child is being taken away from your sister and being given
Mm.
to you.
You.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And because of that,
Mm.
because you are a British national, you will pass your nationality to that child, either by registering the child if all the paperwork is in order, or obtaining automatic British citizenship for that child.
Mm.
But the sister who carried the baby will not be able to derive any rights from doing so. So there's no benefit. Somebody will say, okay, if that is the case, let me get my sister into the country, have a child for me, and then the two of us will
Mm.
derive some sort of benefit, and then we will go along there. So it is it's a tricky one, but the good
Yeah.
thing is once you are considered as the legal parent, or you've been able to go through that process of obtaining the parental order for that child, because the child was
Mm-hmm.
born in the UK, it becomes easier to be able to get that British citizenship for that child than a child
For
who
the
was
child.
born abroad. So that is the
Mm.
difference, and that is something that we need to recognize.
Okay. Thank you very much, lawyer. Okay, now let's come to adoption. Right.
Yes.
If I want to adopt here, is this
Mhm.
simple than me going abroad to adopt, or is it still the
Well,
same?
the adoption process in the UK is always, well, obviously they want to make sure that whoever is going through the process is doing a good job or is being scrutinized and is qualified to be able to be for them to allow that person to adopt. It's very, very important. So the procedure is very
Mm.
might be difficult for others than some people. In terms of immigration, we don't really have much of a problem if the child is being adopted within the UK, because it is assumed that the most children that will go through the adoption process may have their status rectified. In any case, let's assume that you adopt
Mm.
a child within the UK jurisdiction, and then whilst you've adopted that child within the UK jurisdiction, that child is not a British by birth. Okay, so whoever gave birth to that child is not British. From the date that
Okay.
you are granted the adoption order, the child automatically becomes British. So when the process is in UK, it is much simpler. It is much easier because, of course, the Home Secretary recognizes the family court's order and says that once you've obtained a family court order from the family court that that child is your child, that is the end of the story. The problem or the
Oh,
challenge
see.
comes in when the adoption takes place abroad. When the
Okay. Now,
adoption takes place abroad, can you hear me? I think your
come now.
screen is frozen. Can you hear me? Yeah, yeah, that's
Yes.
fine.
Okay. Now.
Yeah, the challenge is it becomes a challenge when the process we are getting it done from abroad, because when we are
Mm.
getting it from abroad, that child may not be the biological parents are not British. One. Secondly, the intercountry adoption process, the country may not have signed up to the Hague Convention. So that means that the UK will not recognize the court order which is coming from that country automatically.
Mm.
So that is where the challenge comes in. So before anybody adopts, or before somebody decides to
Oh.
take or make an option choice, they need to be consider where they're adopting from as a starting point. They need
Mm.
to ask the question, the country that I'm adopting from, are they the adoption recognized by the UK state or not? If it is recognized, then yes, you can go ahead and get it done. And once you get the court order, we are done. I don't think the main problem for most people going through this process is the adoption order itself. The main problem
Okay.
for most people is the clearance that they need to obtain from the adoption agency in UK. That is where the challenge comes from. But of course, in every country, you also need to make sure that you follow the procedure and the laws. Because, for instance, if you want to adopt from Ghana, for example, you will go through the checks and balances within the UK system, where the social
Yeah.
services will interrogate your suitability for adoption. And once you have done
Adoption.
that, you will also have to go to Ghana and then go through the same procedure. It's the same with any other country. So if you're adopting from Turkey, if you're adopting from Nigeria or UAE or anywhere else, this is the same process that you have to go through. But it's also important to understand there are some countries that it's a no-no. Once you adopt from there, they will not even want you to bring the person from here, and
Yeah.
for so many reasons, because of a history that the UK may have with them. So it's important people take notice of that as well.
Okay. Thank you so much. One more question, and then we can move forward. Is it okay to adopt from a surrogate mother? Can you adopt from that? Is it possible? Is it something
It is
that?
possible. It is possible. The reason is people have challenges, okay, with
Mhm.
looking after their children. They may have a challenge, one challenge or the other. We may not know what the challenge is. Either
Okay.
maybe there's a mental breakdown, or maybe the
Mm.
person did not anticipate the the difficulty of looking after a child. So you go through the surrogacy, the surrogacy mother gives it to you, and then there's a problem. So you can adopt from any source whatsoever, so long as you've gone through the procedure and the child has been given to you and you've gone through the vetting process, you will be able to adopt from any source whatsoever. The good thing that I must add, whilst we are wrapping up, it's
Yeah.
important for you to understand that for us at Fortwell Solicitors, we are able to help you in terms of going through the family court process in the adoption
Mm.
process. And then we are also able to assist you with the immigration aspects. So it's very important because when you are doing this, you need to be able to speak to a solicitor who doubles in both practice. That this is one area of law that you realize that it is interspersed with family and immigration. So, without the knowledge of the family aspect, you may have challenges. I have seen people come with to me with a custody order from Ghana, and they expect that because they've got custody of the order from their home country, the UK should be able to recognize it and grant access for their children to join them or the child to join them in the UK. But they get a shock of their life when they have produced the custody order and it is not possible to do that. That are you there? Or the screen is frozen again? I think your
Yeah.
screen is frozen. So sometimes you
Now.
realize that, yeah, the custody order that you may have obtained may not be able to
Mhm.
assist you with the process or the procedure that you want to go through. So it is important for you to make sure you have done your homework well before you go and spend money
Yeah.
doing the custody order. Before you do that, make sure you consult a solicitor so that we will tell you the right procedure, what you need to do to achieve what you have to do. Else, it might not be possible. Because if you get a custody order, what you may have to do at immigration rules for that child to join you. Once the child joins you, you then apply for parent order in the UK court before you can go to the issue of obtaining the British nationality for the person. When I'm making application under the immigration rules, you will need to be able to demonstrate the circumstances, the exceptional circumstance why that child should be given the entry clearance. And without doing that, it will not be successful.
Thank you so much, lawyer. Is there anything you would like to add before we end the program?
Yeah, I mean, the final thing that I would like to add whilst we are on the show is, based on the discussions today, you will realize that it is very, very important to seek legal advice at the onset, at a very early stage of your process. And we, as photo solicitors, we deal with family. We deal with immigration, which is one of the two key areas that we practice in. Apart from that, it is also important for people to understand that we have other areas such as wills and probate, civil litigation, employment, and we may be able to assist you with things like change of name deeds and all that. Because when you have done all these things, you've brought a child in, you might want to obtain documentation to change a child's name and things like that, and we will be able to guide you through those processes. So for me, we are there. We are a one-stop shop for anybody who is looking to do all
Yeah.
these things, and we can advise you. We can signpost you to some places for you to go to be able to obtain the help that you need in the whole process. So thank you very much for taking taking the opportunity to host the show today at such short notice. For those of you who have joined us and seen all the technical issues you are experiencing, the reason may be that it was at a short notice. So forgive us for it. But we hope that going forward next week, we will be able to put things in place for things to come on nicely. So thank you very much, Mama Len. And for those of you who joined us on the Facebook stream as well, we appreciate it. Make sure you share to your friends and family. If you somebody out there may be able to benefit from what we've done today. But it's very important for people to note that what we are doing, this program is for educational purpose only. Don't just simply act upon it without seeking legal advice because your circumstances may be different. We also offer free consultation. We don't charge for consultation. So if you want to speak to us Monday to Friday, 9:30 to 5:30, get in touch. Call us. Whatever question or issue you may have, we will be more than happy to answer for you. Thank you very much, Mama Len.
Thank you so much. Okay, so on that note, if you would like to contact us, Photo Solicitors, these are the numbers to contact. It's 0203-325-7030, or 07944976161 one. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for staying with us. And then hopefully next week, same time, we'll be here to serve you. Thank you, lawyer.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.